அனைவருக்கும் மாலை வணக்கம். சான் பிரான்சிஸ்கோ வளைகுடா பகுதி தமிழ் மன்றத்தின் இன்றைய அமர்விற்கு வருகை தந்துள்ள அனைவருக்கும் முதற்கண் எங்களது வணக்கத்தை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். நான் அறிவொளி திருவேங்கடம், இந்த ஆண்டின் பொருளாளர். இன்றைய நிகழ்ச்சி வரி ஆலோசனை. இது வரி செலுத்தும் நேரம். காலத்தின் தேவைக்கு ஏற்ப மன்றம் இன்று வரி ஆலோசனை பற்றிய ஒரு நிகழ்வை ஏற்பாடு செய்துள்ளது. முதல்ல நம்ம எல்லா நிகழ்ச்சி போலவும் தமிழ் தாய் வாழ்த்திலிருந்து நம்ம ஆரம்பிக்கலாம். தமிழ் தாய் வாழ்த்துல ஆரம்பிக்கலாங்க.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் மதனமென நிகழ்வரத கண்டனிதில் எக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை முதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுனே திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திகழ்ந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்வதுமே
நன்றிங்க. முதலில் இன்றைய நிகழ்ச்சி நிரலை பத்தி முதல்ல பார்த்துடலாம். என்னுடைய ஸ்கிரீன் தெரியுதுங்களா?
தெரியுதுங்க.
ஓகே, ஒரே நிமிஷங்க. இன்னைக்கு தான் வரி ஆலோசனை நிகழ்ச்சி. இன்னைக்கு முதல்ல வந்து மேலோட்டமா பார்க்கணும் அப்படின்னா சரியா தெரியுதுங்களா?
கொஞ்சம் சின்னதா இருக்குங்க.
ஓகே, பிஃபோர் தட் நான் வந்து ஒரு இது சொல்லிக்கிறேங்க. இன்னைக்கு வந்து நிகழ்ச்சியை ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணலாங்களா? ஏன்னா வந்து மக்கள் வந்து இது அப்புறம் பயன்படுவாங்க இதை பார்த்துட்டு. Can I get the permission?
Yeah, I think that should be it. That's okay.
Okay, so just a second. Let me start the recording here. Just give me a second. Start. Record, yeah. After that, we'll be sharing this. Okay? Thanks a lot for your cooperation. முதல்ல நீங்க நிகழ்ச்சி நிரலை வந்து பார்த்துடலாம். Recording அதான் பார்த்துருக்கு. Can you check if recording? Okay, very good. Okay, முதல்ல தமிழ் தாய் வாழ்த்து முடிச்சிட்டோம். அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து இன்ட்ரோடக்ஷன் ஆஃப் த செஷன். அதாவது நான் இந்த செஷனை பற்றி சிறிய அறிமுகம் கொடுப்பேன். அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து 5:35 நமது தலைவர் திரு குணசேகரன் பதக்கம் அவர்கள் நமது புரவலர் சுப்ரா ரமணன் அவரை பற்றிய ஒரு சிறிய அறிமுகம் கொடுப்பாரு. அதுக்கப்புறம் 5:38 நேராக நாம் வந்து நம்மளுடைய சிறப்பு விருந்தினர் இன்றைக்கு வந்து சுப்ரா ரமணனுடைய டாக்ஸ் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் ப்ரெசன்டேஷன் அதுக்குள்ள நம்ம வந்து போயிடுவோம். ஒரு கிட்டத்தட்ட 6 மணி நேரம் நிகழ்ச்சி அவர் நமக்கு வந்து நிறைய அறிவுரைகள் ஆலோசனைகள் சொல்வார். அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து கேள்வி நேரம் நம்ம வந்து போயிடுவோம். நேர் விருப்பம் எல்லாமே இருக்கும். அதில் வந்து அவங்க நிறைய கேள்விகள்லாம் அனுப்பியிருக்கிறாங்க. அதெல்லாம் நம்ம வந்து we will start fielding those questions. அது ஒரு கிட்டத்தட்ட 20-25 நிமிஷம் அந்த மாதிரி போகலாம். அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து இது நன்றி உரை. நமது அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேட்டிவ் வைஸ் பிரசிடென்ட் திருமதி சரவணா சுதந்திரா அவர்கள் வந்து உரையாற்றுவார்கள். அப்புறம் நம்மளுடைய செஷன் அமர்வு வந்து 6:30 மணிக்கு முடிக்கிறதாக திண்ணம். அது கேள்விகளை பொறுத்திருக்கு மற்றும் சுப்ரா அவர்களுடைய நேர இது காலவரை பொறுத்திருக்கு. சரிங்களா? நம்ம நேரா வந்து இப்போ நிகழ்ச்சிக்குள்ள போயிடலாம். நான் என்னுடைய தொடக்க உரையை ரொம்ப சுருக்கமா முடிச்சுக்கிறேன். இன்னைக்கு குறிப்பா சொல்ல போனாக்கா, போன வருடம் வந்து இல்லாத பொழுது மனிதனத்துக்கு கோவிட் வந்துச்சு. அதனால இந்த வருஷம் வந்து நிறைய கோவிட் டாக்ஸ் ரிலீஃப் அது மாதிரி நிறைய பாலிசிஸ் ரூல்ஸ் எல்லாம் விதிச்சிருக்கிறாங்க. ப்ளஸ் இப்போ வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னாக்கா நம்மளுடைய இந்த ஸ்டிமுலஸ் பேக்கேஜஸ் இது எல்லாமே வந்திருக்கு. அமெரிக்கன் ரெஸ்கியூ பிளான் ஆக்ட் 2021 இது வந்து அதை அறிவிச்சிருக்கிறாங்க அண்மையில். அதை பற்றின நிறைய விடயங்கள் நமக்கு ஐயா சொல்லி தருவார் இன்னைக்கு. அதை நம்ம கோடிட்டு காட்டுவார். அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து இன்னும் ஒரு முக்கியமான விஷயம் வந்து மே 17 அன்னைக்கு தான் இந்த வருஷம் வந்து வரி செலுத்துவதற்கான காலவரை டெட்லைன். அது இப்போ வழக்கம் போல ஏப்ரல் 15 கிடையாது. போன வருஷம் ஜூலை 15 வச்சிருந்தாங்க. இந்த வருஷம் மே 17. அதையும் நீங்கள் நினைவில் கூர்ந்து வச்சுக்கோங்க. மீதி இது மாதிரி நிறைய விஷயங்கள் நம்ம கற்றுக்க போகிறோம். நான் இதோட என்னுடைய இதை முடிச்சுக்கிட்டு நம்மளுடைய தலைவர் சான் பிரான்சிஸ்கோ வளைகுடா தமிழ் மன்றத்தின் தலைவர் திரு குணசேகரன் பதக்கம் அவர்களை அழைக்கிறேன். அவர் வந்து நம்மளுடைய புரவலர் பற்றி முன்னுரை வழங்குவார்கள். சரிங்க.
நன்றி ஒலி. இன்றைய நிகழ்ச்சிக்கு வந்திருக்கும் தமிழ் மன்ற உறுப்பினர்கள் அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். உங்களுக்கு இன்று நமது நெடுங்கால புரவலர், நமது மன்ற ஆயுட்கால உறுப்பினர், எனக்கு தெரிந்து எவ்வளவு நாட்களாக வந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறார் தெரியாது. இருந்தாலும் அவர் பல காலமாக தமிழ் மன்றத்தினோடு இணைந்து பல நிகழ்வுகளில் பங்கேற்றிருக்கிறார். அவர் புரவலர் மட்டுமல்ல, அவர் நிறைய கலை நிகழ்வுகளிலும் பங்கேற்றிருக்கிறார். அவரை உங்களுக்கு அறிமுகப்படுத்துவது மிகவும் பெருமிதம் அடைகிறேன். அவரை பற்றி குறிப்பு உங்களுக்கு தெரியாமல் இருக்காது. அவர் இங்கே நம் வளைகுடா பகுதியில் சான் பிரான்சிஸ்கோ யூனிவர்சிட்டியில் MBA ஃபைனான்ஸ் 1990 முடித்துவிட்டு கடந்த 25 வருடங்களாக 1995ஆம் வருடத்திலிருந்து நீகா என்ற கார்பரேஷன் நிறுவன தலைவராகவும் இருந்து கொண்டு எண்ணற்ற பன்னாட்டு நிறுவனங்களுக்கு தொழில்துறையிலும் வரி ஆலோசகராகவும் இருந்து கொண்டு செவ்வன பணிகளை செய்து கொண்டிருக்கிறார். நமது தமிழ் மன்றத்திற்கு கடந்த பல வருடங்களாக வரி ஆலோசனையும், நமது டாக்ஸ் பதிவு செய்வதும் சரி ஆகட்டும், நமது மன்றத்தினுடைய சர்டிபிகேஷன் ஆகட்டும், கலிபோர்னியா பதிவு பண்றதாகட்டும், எல்லாமே வந்து பண்ணது நம்மளோட புரவலர் திரு சுப்ரா ரமணன். அவர் பன்முக கலைஞர்னு சொல்லுவேன். வரி மாத்திரம் கிடையாது, அவர் சிறந்த பாடகர். அவர்கள் பாடல் நம்ம கேட்கலாம், கட்ட முடிஞ்ச கேட்கலாம். வரி மாத்திரம் ஒரு பாடலை அவர்களை கேட்கலாம். இத்துடன் எனது சிறிய உரையை முடித்துக் கொண்டு திரு சுப்ரா ரமணன் அவர்களை தமிழ் மன்றத்தின் சார்பாகவும் செயற்குழுவின் சார்பாகவும் வருக என அன்புடன் வரவேற்கிறேன். வாருங்கள் திரு சுப்ரா ரமணன் அவர்களே.
நன்றி குணா, நன்றி ஒலி. அனைவருக்கும் எனது இனிய மாலை பொழுதில் இனிய வணக்கங்களை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். இன்று நாங்கள் ஒலி கூறியது போல் இப்ப ரீசன்ட்லி பாஸ் அவுட் பண்ண டாக்ஸ் லாஸை பற்றி தான் நாங்கள் கொஞ்சம் பேச போகிறோம். ஸோ இது வந்து டாக்ஸை பற்றி நாங்கள் பேசும்போது தமிழும் பேசலாம், சில நேரங்களில் இங்கிலீஷ்லும் பேச வேண்டி வரும். பிகாஸ் அப்படின்னா தான் நீங்கள் கூட விளங்கலாம். ஸோ அந்த விதத்தில் நாங்கள் கொஞ்சம் ஸ்லைட்ஸை போட்டுட்டு தென் அதன்படி அந்த ஸ்லைட்ஸ்ல இருக்கிற புல்லட் பாயிண்ட்ஸின் படி நாங்கள் போவோம். அதில் உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது கொஸ்டின்ஸ் வந்தால் நீங்கள் இமெயில் பண்ணலாம், chat பண்ணலாம் ஒலியோட. So we can address those as well. So I'm ready to start, and we, as Guna said, we have been doing taxes for Bay Area Tamil Mandram, and we have been here for a while now. So I know most of the people in the organization, and glad to be here.
நன்றிங்க ஐயா. இப்போ கேள்வி வந்துட்டு இருக்கு. நான் முதல்ல சொல்லிடுறேன். இது வந்து இந்த நிகழ்வு, இந்த அமர்வை வந்து ப்ரெடாமினன்ட்லி ஆங்கிலத்தில் செய்ய போகிறோம். ஏன்னா இது வந்து கலிஃபோர்னியா வரி விதிகள் மட்டும் அல்லாமல் ஃபெட்ரல் வரி விதிகளை பற்றியும் வரும். அதனால கலிஃபோர்னியா மட்டும் பார்க்காம அமெரிக்கா உள்ள யாருக்கெல்லாம் பயனுடைய முடியுமோ அவங்க அடைஞ்சிக்கலான்ற ஒரு நோக்கத்தில் இதை வந்து ஆங்கிலத்தில் தான் ப்ரெடாமினன்ட்லி பண்ணுவோம். ஸோ தட் இட்ஸ் மச் மோர் ஈஸியர். ஓகே. பட் அங்கங்கே உங்களுக்கு கேள்வி இருந்தாக்கா நீங்கள் அந்த மொழியை பார்க்கவே தேவையில்ல, கருப்பொருளை தான் பார்க்க போகிறோம். So we can actually do bilingual, but predominantly it'll be in English. So let me start the presentation. Then let me start my screen share. Okay. தெரியுதுங்களா இப்போ ஸ்க்ரீன்?
எனக்கு தெரியுது. உங்களுக்கு தெரியுதா?
தெரியுதுங்க. தெரியுது.
ஆரம்பிக்கலாம்.
சரி, நாங்க இப்ப முதல்ல ஒளி சொன்ன மாதிரி recently about March, around first week of March, there was a huge rescue act that was passed by the Biden administration. So it's named as American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. So இன்னைக்கு வந்து எங்களுடைய discussion எல்லாம் we are going to be focused on this act and what changes this act has brought into for a lot of our people. And so we will just be focused on this. You may be probably knowing about whatever changes happened before, but as we go through, if there's any questions, we'll address those as well. So we're going to talk about what this act and what are the changes it has brought in for us taxpayers in the US. Okay. So let's go to the next one. So if you see that the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, in summary, it's a 1.9 trillion spending bill. So that's what the act involves in a broader scale. 850 billion would be giveaways to individuals and 65 billion to businesses in broader terms. So this has a lot of pandemic related provisions, but also it expands certain tax breaks into 2021, which is the current tax year. So it includes many tax breaks, even not targeted to pandemic. So there are certain other tax breaks as well, which are not directly targeted to pandemic. They are also included in this act. So because of this huge change, it places a lot of demands on the IRS. So they have to go back and, change some of the forms and change some of the ways that they're operating. So it's all kind of, as we study the law now, IRS is also studying the law and trying to adapt to this. So, okay, so next slide. So based on, for the individuals, what it contains is pretty much, the first line item is recovery rebates. These are the ones that, I don't know, if you want me to talk in completely in English, I can talk in English, but it's up to you, Ali.
Feel free, comfortably,
Okay, sure. So the recovery rebates are what we call stimulus payments, right? And in terms of, they also call them economic impact payments. So that is part of it was addressed in this act. Unemployment insurance benefits got extended. Then child tax credit. I'm just going to go through these bullet points and then we'll go into the details, okay? So child tax credit got temporarily expanded. Dependent care credit also got temporarily expanded. Earned income tax credit got expanded. And then employer provided dependent care assistance temporarily expanded. ACA, which is Affordable Care Act premium tax credit, expanded. COBRA subsidies for terminated employees in 2021. And then student loan forgiveness from 2021 to 2025 made non-taxable. So these are pretty much in summary form how this would impact the individual taxpayers. So there are a number of provisions about businesses as well. So we are going to be focusing on individuals and slightly on businesses so we can deal with handle both of them. So next slide. So on the business side, there is a provision that previously limited business loss. Excess business loss was limited, and now that got extended. Family First Coronavirus Response Act, which we call it FFCRA, those credits expanded and extended. Employee retention credit. If the employers kept the employees during the pandemic, then there is a credit for that. So that is included and expanded. PPP loan, popularly known as Paycheck Protection Program loan, that eligibility got expanded. EIDL, advances extended. And then there's, for restaurants, there's special provision for restaurants, that's included in this act. And there is something called shuttered venue grants, which is for theaters and entertainment places. There are some grants that are available through Small Business Administration, so that is covered in the act as well. So these are pretty much in broader terms for businesses, what would be the changes. Now, we can go to the next one, Oli. So most of the people who are eligible to receive the stimulus payment, the round 3 rebates, IRS has started sending out checks or doing the direct deposits into your bank accounts. So about $410 billion were allocated for that. So it's estimated that 89% of the taxpayers or tax filers will get an average of $2,157 credit due to COVID, round 3 rebates. So then the next one would be a refundable credit of $1,400 per individual. So this is the stimulus payment, right? The $1,400 per individual and $2,800 if you're married filing joint, and $1,400 per dependent. So these are the round 3 stimulus payments that you will be getting, or some of them would have already gotten it by now. And also to qualify, you should have a social security number, and the non-resident aliens do not qualify. Any questions? If you want to stop me and ask me, that's fine, Oli, right?
Yeah.
ஒரு கேள்வி இருந்துச்சுங்க. நீங்க பின்னாடி ஸ்லைட்ஸ் இருக்கான்னு தெரியல. ஒவ்வொரு ரெஸ்டாரண்ட்ஸ், பிசினஸ், இண்டிவிஜுவல்ஸ்லாம் பார்த்துட்டோம். நான் ப்ராஃபிட் ஆர்கனைசேஷன்ஸ்க்கு ஏதாவது சிறப்புகள் இருந்தாலும் சொல்லலாம்.
Right, non-profits also will qualify for PPP grants, loans, and that was the recent provision that was included as well for non-profits as well. So,
ஒரு சின்ன கேள்விங்க. இந்த இண்டிவிஜுவல் கிரெடிட் இருக்குல்ல, ரீஃபண்டபிள் கிரெடிட்,
right.
அது வந்து does it have any income limit or irrespective of any?
Right, there is income limit, which we'll get into the following slides. It'll be, yeah. So there is an income limit on that as well. Yes. So we were, yeah. So okay. So the next one is based on the rebates would be calculated based on 2019 tax returns, unless 2020 is already filed. If you have already filed your 2020 tax return, then it will be based on your 2020 tax return. So something to kind of pay attention to. So if your 2020 income was lower than 2019, you may want to file your taxes early. So that way, you will get your rebates faster. And then once you get it, you don't have to return it. So if your 2020 income is higher than 2019, then you may want to file late and qualify for rebates based on 2019 income, so you can still keep the excess. Right? So credit, it's a credit against 2021 taxes. So in other words, even though the payments are made in advance, it's a credit against the rebate is a credit against your taxes. So it is refundable credit, so you can keep the excess. So, and then one of the things that we need to be concerned about here is that we're not sure whether all the states have also adopted that. So it may be taxable to certain states. So we have to check on the state tax laws as well. So it's not taxable to federal, but it may be taxable to states. Limited, and it gets limited and phased out by AGI depending on your filing status. Now we're getting back into what Guna was asking, whether there is any limitation. Who gets it or who doesn't get it, okay? All right, we can move on to the next slide. So this is what happened with individuals. Round one, individuals got $1,200 per person and $500 per dependent. That's against your 2020 tax. Round two happened somewhere around late December last year. $600 per person and $600 per dependent. That's against your 2020 tax as well. Round three is happening now, which is $1,400 per person and $1,400 per dependent. That will be against your 2021 tax. So the phasing out of this is as we get from round one to round two and round three, it gets more aggressive. Round three becomes more aggressive than round two, and round one is less aggressive. So you will see that if you're a single person, or if you're a married filing joint or single person, your rebate will phase out between $75,000 and $99,000. Head of household, these are different filing status, right? I mean, I hope most of you would know what a filing status is. You can file your return as an individual, or as head of household, or married filing jointly, or married filing separately. So if you're a single person, 75 to 99,000, head of household, it will get phased out from 112,500 to 146,500. Married filing joint returns with the stimulus payment will get phased out from 150,000 to 198,000. So if you see that in round one, the phasing out range is pretty large. It's almost $24,000. Within that, it's a larger scale within which the rebate will get phased out. But if you go to round two, where you got the $600, the single or non-married filing joint returns, the higher end of it has been reduced to $87,000. For head of household, it got reduced to $124,500, and married filing joint, it got reduced to $174,000. So now the range has dropped pretty much $12,000 per adult. Now, if you move on to round three, which is where you're getting your $1,400, the phasing out got more aggressive here. So it gets phased out between $75,000 to $80,000 for a single tax filer. Head of household, it gets phased out between $112,500 to $120,000, and married filing jointly, the lower end would be $150,000, and between $150,000 and $160,000, it gets phased out. So these are the limitations based on the adjusted gross income, how your economic payment would get reduced. We can move on to the next slide. So one other big change that happened with the unemployment benefits. So previous to the introduction of this Rescue Act, unemployment income was taxable. So, but then during 2020, millions went into unemployment due to pandemic, and also there were a lot of identity thefts caused many people receiving 1099-Gs where the unemployment is reported to those who did not apply. So then the Rescue Act made a change that first 10,200 of 2020 unemployment income is not taxable per recipient. If your adjusted gross income is less than $150,000. So a total of 20,400 tax-free income is possible on a joint return because of this change. So, but there is this $150,000 AGI limit, which we call it an AGI cliff, which applies uniformly to all the filing statuses. In other words, the previous slide you would have seen that every different filing status has different phasing out limits, but for this particular unemployment benefit, there's only one limit, which is 150,000. So if you made $150,000, then you will lose this 10,200 for a single unemployment recipient or 20,400 for a husband and wife. But if you made 149,999, then you get 20,400 relief. So you have to plan accordingly. In other words, say if your tax return for 2020 shows an AGI of 151,000, you might as well consider, if you qualify for a traditional IRA, contribute about $1,000 and take away the 10,200 or 20,400 deduction from your taxable income. Right. So in other words, if you move on to the next item that we want to discuss here is that if husband and wife each received more than 10,200 in unemployment income in 2020, earning $1 less from 150,000 will give you approximately $4,488 in federal tax refund by just earning $1 less. So this is applicable only to 2020. So it's not for 2021. And then the federal supplemental payment of $300 per week now got extended through September 9th, 2021. So that's about the unemployment benefits included in this act. We can move on to the next one. Child tax credit got expanded. These are all for year 2021. It increased from $2,000 to $3,000 if your kid is age of 6 and over. It increased from $2,000 to $3,600 if your kid is 5 years or under at the end of 2021. Then one of the change is previously your children over the age of 16 did not qualify. Now it got extended up to age of 17. So any parent with a kid reaching age 17 in 2021 will get a bonus year of child tax credit, one extra year. So also the qualifying taxpayers can get this as an advance payment as well, advance credit each month. And IRS is planning to start disbursing of these advance payments by July. So the rescue plan is very new, and so everybody is trying to figure out, including the tax professionals, CPAs, lawyers, attorneys, IRS, including IRS. So we can go to the next slide. So child tax credit got expanded in terms of the qualifying expense amount, and applicable percentages also increased for 2021. So the qualifying expense now increased from $3,000 to $8,000 for one child, and from $6,000 to $16,000 for 2 or more children. Percentage that we apply to calculate the credit also increased from 35% to 50%. And it gets everything has a phasing out range here. So phasing out will begin if your income exceeds 400,000. And for 2021 only, this credit is refundable. So if you are familiar with the way that the tax system works here, some of the credits are non-refundable, some of the credits are refundable. So when the tax code says it's a refundable credit, then you get the money in your hand, even if you don't pay any taxes. But if it's a non-refundable credit, it only reduces the taxes, but it doesn't get refunded to you. So, but this in this year for 2021, it will be a refundable credit. And also the amount excludable from the employer-provided dependent care assistance is now $10,500, increased from $5,000. So these are some of the changes that the rescue plan brought into for individuals. Next one, please. The other one that we're going to talk about is the Affordable Care Act premium tax credit. So this is what people used to call Obamacare. Let's move on to the next one. So previous law was that Affordable Care Act created federal taxpayer-funded subsidies for insurance purchase through marketplace exchanges. So the way it worked was it was available to individuals earnings between 100% to 400% of federal poverty level. So the way that the law was structured before was an individual must pay certain percentage of their household income towards the second lowest silver level health insurance plan. So the excess is paid by the government. But if the income goes above 400%, the individual pays the whole amount. So no subsidy is provided. So that's why when Obamacare was introduced, there were penalties for not having an health insurance. And then a lot of people were wondering why they had to return the premium tax credit when they filed a return, because their income went above the 400% limit. So that was okay. So that was the previous law. And we can move on to the next one, Ali. So the changes that got brought in here is that for year 2021 and 2022, the government will pick up more of the health insurance tab for individuals earning up to $400,000. And also it expanded to cover the individuals earning more than $400,000. So if somebody is earning more than $400,000, their premium will be capped at 8.5% of their income. And then one other important thing that we need to pay attention here is that there's no clawback of 2020 advance payment of credit. So Rescue Act Section 9662 says that you don't have to pay it back. So that means that whoever filed any returns prior to this law may have to now go back and amend it if they paid back some of the advance payment of credit. Now, the other interesting observation here is that any taxpayer who receives or qualifies to receive unemployment compensation for 1 week in 2021 will be automatically treated as household income below 133% and will get full cost of second least expensive silver health plan premium. There's a typo there. I should have said least. It's not least. So anyway, so that's that. If somebody was even unemployed for 1 week, then automatically the law will consider them as below the poverty level, household income below 133%, and will get the full cost of the silver health plan premium. So, and also the law says there's no phasing out for this benefit, so even the wealthy who lost the job will qualify. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So I think briefly what we discussed, some planning issues here. One thing is that we talked about the falling off the cliff, meaning the 150,000 AGI, making $1 less than 150,000 can give you more untaxed or unemployment insurance. The next one is, if you did not receive your stimulus payment in 2020, you can get them by filing your 2020 tax returns if you qualify. The person claimed as a dependent in your 2018 or 2019 tax return may be still entitled to this refundable credit if you don't claim that person in 2020. So maybe you may want to consider whether you want to claim any of your dependents, whether it's better for you to claim the person or have that person get the refundable credit. And then the CARES Act provided for a penalty-free distribution of up to $100,000 in 2020 from your retirement account due to COVID-related reasons. So you can defer this income over 3 years. So if you are unemployed and you had to pull money out of your pension plan, you can take it all the way up to $100,000 and then defer the income over 3 years and get taxed over a period of 3 years. Or you can repay it, consider that as a loan, and you can repay it within 3 years and then you don't get taxed on that. So there is a good example here. I ran into somebody recently, and so he came to me and said that he got his taxes done somewhere and he had to pay $30,000 in taxes. So I said, okay, let's look at your case. And he came in, and then I said, okay, you had taken some pension plan distribution, and what is the reason you took the distribution? And he said, well, I was unemployed. I had to take money out of my pension plan to live off of. And I said, okay, fine. Your whoever did your taxes didn't consider that, so you can spread it out for 3 years. So he said, oh, that's wonderful. So I said, okay, we'll amend your return. We'll just spread it out for 3 years.
Fine.
Zoom again.
Wait, how come she's joined?
Okay. All right. So, can you hear me?
Yes.
So he was then. So we said, okay, we'll spread it out over 3 years, and then that dropped his income down. So when he dropped the income down, then I was able to release some of his passive losses that got carried over from the previous years. He had some rental losses which were considered to be passive losses, so he didn't deduct it in the previous year. So we were able to release those losses when the income dropped. So as a result, when we amended the return, he walked away with about $3,000 refund, as opposed to him paying $30,000 in taxes. So that is what this kind of change would make in somebody's tax return. Then when we go on, so there's another change. If you don't itemize your deductions, you can take $300 above the line deduction for cash donations. So as you all probably know that you can only deduct charitable contributions if you're itemizing your deductions. But then in this case, because of COVID, the government said that you can, even if you're taking standard deduction, you can take $300 if you made any charitable contributions in cash. And then also for 2020 only, the limit for itemized charitable deduction is increased from 60% to 100% of the AGI. And there are many more changes. We may not have time to discuss all that. I think we are exceeding the time already, I think, right? Let's move on to the next one then, yeah. If you want to go fast, I don't mind. So these are some of the provisions for businesses. As we talked, excess business loss limit is extended by 1 year. Sick and family leave mandates, it's ended on 12/31/2020, but employers can voluntarily continue to pay sick and family leave for another 12 weeks and get credits for those. Refundable credit, these are for employers and businesses. Refundable credits for paid sick leave and family leave now got extended through March 31st, and most likely it will again going to get extended. Employee retention credit also got extended to Q3 and Q4 of 2021. So when all these credits are taken on the employer's payroll tax returns, so government also gave IRS additional 2 years to audit the payroll returns if needed. So the statute of limitation for IRS examining the payroll tax returns extended to 5 years now from 3 years before. So we can move on to the next one. So this is just a basic example how a company having 10 employees and each employee earning 40,000, if their income dropped 55% from each quarter in 2020 and then 30% for the next in each quarter in 2021, how much they will benefit by claiming the credit here, employee retention credits. So in the first scenario, they may qualify up to $50,000 credit. And the second scenario where they're 2 quarters and their revenue dropped by 30% more, they will get a $140,000 credit. So that's a typical just a scenario that we can look at. Next one, PPP funds. Probably most business owners would know what PPP is. So it's a covered period is 24 weeks from the date the loan was funded. And even you can apply before March 31st, 2021. Date may get extended still. Sole props, independent contractors, self-employed people also can apply now. We should use about 60% of the funds for payroll on wages below 100,000. And the rest on other qualifying expenses such as rent, mortgage payments, interest, utilities. Loans can be fully forgiven if used for the qualifying purposes. And mostly the businesses should maximize their PPP forgiveness and get the 100% benefit and use the 40% on covered non-payroll cost. Any questions so far? Or we are going too fast, too slow?
I have a question.
Sure.
So what's the eligibility for this PPP loan?
You have to, you can have even self-employed people are eligible. It's calculated based, if you're a self-employed person, now the recent changes are you can use your gross revenue, what you report on your Schedule C, as to qualify for PPP loan. If you have employees, then typically you have to, it takes about certain, like you take the average payroll for the last year or current year, whichever period that you can choose whether you want to go with 2019 or 2020 payroll information and take 2.5 times of that. Plus, you can add the benefits if you're paying health insurance and all that for your employees. You can calculate all that and qualify for the PPP amount.
Thank you.
What landlords? Can they also do it?
Landlords, if you are considered to be self-employed, yes, you have a different way of doing it. Now, if you have an LLC and you are getting a K1 from an LLC, then that's considered as self-employed income. So you can there are different formula that you can apply under different categories, and then you will be able to qualify for PPP. Yes.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
and so any business owner should consider maximizing the PPP because that's free money for you, and use the 40% on covered non-payroll cost. Next slide, Ollie. So as you probably know that when the whole thing started sometime March last year or April, SBA provided EIDL loans and grants to businesses. Mostly, if you had more than 10 employees, you got $10,000 grant. And also there were loans, SBA granted loans, which can be repaid over a period of 30 years for businesses. So, but right now in the new rescue plan, there's another second round of targeted EIDL advances. They're talking about $5,000 each if you have less than 10 employees and you had suffered more than 50% reduction in revenue. So when you get that benefit, it's not taxable to you, but also you can deduct those expenses funded by the EIDL advance. So this is again a federal law change here. Can go to next one. For restaurants, okay, let's get the next one. So there are grants available for pandemic-related loss for restaurants, food stand, food truck, food cart, caterer, salon, inn, tavern, all of these places where public may taste, sample, or purchase products. So the gross receipts of eligible entity during 2020, typically the way they would calculate is that take your 2020 gross receipts, subtract it from your 2019 gross receipt, and then reduce it by PPP loan. And if the resulting number is greater than 0, then you qualify. So such benefits not taxable. Also expenses funded by the EIDL advance, deductible, and basis allowed. So that's for the restaurants. And I think pretty much we almost exceeded the time here. So we're going to stop here, even though there is a lot more to discuss. And so we'll we have half an hour. I think I don't know. Are we within the time limit? Only 6:15. Yeah.
I think we're a little bit over like 6:15, but this is fine. But
Yeah.
we're coming to the end of it.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So that's where we are. So if you have any questions, please feel free to call us. The number is 408-263-3311, or you can email me, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions and assist you in whatever way.
Subra, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So regarding the eligibility for the stimulus payments,
Yeah.
I understand SSN is required. Unfortunately, I realized that my spouse's SSN was not updated for quite a few years. It was started with ITIN and it still remains the same. So do you think in the 2021 tax filing, if I file the SSN, I'll be able to claim the
Yes.
stimulus?
Yes, you have to. But does she a resident here? I mean, she will qualify for SSN, right?
Yeah, she was qualified for SSN and she received her SSN way long back. I just did not mind to update it in my tax returns.
Oh, but she already has an SSN there.
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah, so you have to use the SSN, and then, I mean, how long ago did she get the SSN?
2017.
So you in 2018 and 19 you did not use the SSN, but you used the tax ID.
I continue to use her ITIN, which I filed in 2017.
Okay, so the difference is that Social Security number would give you more tax breaks and more tax advantages. So if you already had it in 2017, you should have used that for 18 and 19 to get more whatever. I don't know your personal situation, but whatever, certain credits are only applicable to people who have Social Security. If you are a non-resident alien and with a tax ID number, you may not qualify to get certain credits. So I mean, it's a matter of just using the right number. So maybe you may want to consider amending your previous year's return if something would benefit you. And for 2020, certainly you should use your Social Security number, your wife's Social Security number. And 2019, obviously your stimulus payment would have been reduced if you didn't show her social on your tax return.
Yeah, so precisely the question is, if I were to introduce her social in 2021, I mean the 2020 filing, without amending the 2019 or the 2018, will I be able to claim the stimulus as refund or tax credit, whatever it is?
Yeah. I mean, if you have the valid Social Security, yeah, definitely you'll get it.
Okay. Another question related is, what if I did not get the first round of stimulus, but I got the second or the third? So do I still have leverage to claim the first round, or how does it work?
as I said, the stimulus that you got is an advance payment of the credit against your taxes in 2020 and 2021. 2020, right? Pretty much. The first and the second would be a credit against the 2020. So if you didn't get it in the first one, and you will get it on your tax return. So when you file your tax returns, if you could, I don't know how you do your taxes. Do you do it yourself or how do you do it?
No, I take help from someone like you.
Okay, so you should probably, that person should have advised you that you would get it on your tax return.
Okay.
Right.
I haven't started this year yet, so I'll get to know about it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe I'll read out some questions are coming in, piling in. Okay. I think there is a question from Mr. Sundar Kuti. His question is, this act is for the tax year 2021 only, right? I think that is the stimulus fund. Mr. Sundar Kuti, are you online? Okay. Maybe he's not online. I think it is this is.
Yeah, no, I got the answers. It is meant for 2020 also.
Oh, 2020 also. Okay. Okay. That's good to know.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, sir?
So I got that EIP payment 2 only. Is it? I got it as a debit card. Is it a valid one?
Which one is that?
EIP.
Debit card. Generally, the debit card is for unemployment. So are you talking about the stimulus payment on a debit card?
It says EIP.
Economic impact payment. So that is not, when you say, that if you have been filing your return electronically and your bank account is in your tax return, and if IRS knows what your bank account is, then they will give you the money. They will, directly deposit. But this is the first stimulus or the third stimulus we are talking about, where you got the debit card.
So this is the EIP 2, they said.
Okay. And what, Bank of America, or which card did you get?
It's a Visa card. Meta Bank.
Meta Bank. Okay. Well,
so is it? I was doubtful whether it is a valid one.
Yeah, I think the IRS is not in the business of sending out credit cards or debit cards. So that seems to be a little, unsure at this time.
But I received a letter from Department of Treasury also, IRS, and it's not a big amount, it's around $300 or so.
What did the letter say?
It says an EIP payment in the amount of 346 was issued by check or debit card.
Okay.
And issued you a second economic impact payment as provided by the COVID-related Tax Act of 2020.
Okay, so you are not getting the full 600, and they are calculating within that phasing out range, and so it could be legitimate, and unless I can probably look into that. If you scan and email it to me, then I can take a look and then get back to you on that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll get your email ID and send
Sure.
information. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. So I'm getting some more questions in the chat. Let me actually moderate. So here is a question from Mr. Arun Rajendran. Mr. President, is proposing a first-time home buyer's credit. Could you please explain the tax benefits? And with this program, apply for 2020 home buyers.
No, it doesn't. It's not still applicable. It's not applicable to 2021 at this time. Yeah.
Okay. And then the other question is, can less conventional expenses like house moving / non-reimbursed office-related expenses or online professional learning can be used for itemized deductions?
Well, the itemized deductions for employment-related unreimbursed employee expenses are no longer there, so you can deduct those. So, if you're that deduction is no longer there for using your home for job where you are getting a W-2 income.
Okay. I think we hear some noise. Can somebody mute? Yeah. Okay. The other questions that we have are suppose there is a people have incurred losses last year because of COVID. Okay, loss of job, health benefits, etc. Are there any tax?
Somebody, actually, this is a host. I'm sorry for interrupting. SFBATM co-host needs to mute themselves first. It's not Play Bhaskar, it is the other co-host. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, I think maybe things are better now. People who they could have incurred losses last year. So here's some echo here. Okay. Are there any tax schemes codes that are available for helping them file taxes?
Yes, that's what we just talked about. The whole Rescue Plan Act and the benefits of unemployment benefit.
Sure. Okay. Because these questions came in a day or two before. Yeah. Okay. I think we talked about the PPP, right? Paycheck protection programs.
Right.
And that also we covered. And then is it advisable to take PPP loans for Tamil small scale businesses?
Yes.
Impact. Okay, that is good. And then the other one is, maybe you covered this, will the stimulus amounts be deducted the later years during tax? I think you covered this.
Yeah, it's not taxable.
Okay. Okay, I think this also we covered. Pretty much, is there any other questions that people have now, or?
I have two questions though.
Sure, go ahead.
If there's nobody there, then I can ask. Otherwise, somebody can. If they have anybody question, let them ask. Otherwise, Shubhra, we'll start. Shubhra, in one of your slides, you mentioned that for non-profit organizations, we can have some kind of grants.
Right.
Is Tamil Mandram can apply for any grants, such a grants? Because we don't have applied though, but the thing is, are we eligible to get a grant?
Yes, you are, and the nonprofits have a different rules how to apply. Yeah, sure, you would qualify for grants, and so we can specifically look into what grants that would qualify for Bay Area Tamil Mandram. Yeah, nonprofits are eligible for grants and any other incentives during the pandemic.
Yeah, really, that will help. So we will get in touch with Shubhra. The another question, with regard to the charitable contribution, you said that it is increased from 60% to 100%. So that means so for example, usually only 60% of our donation alone can be deductible. Though now 100% of our contribution can be deductible.
No, basically what it says is that, say, in just plain without going into, there are different types of charitable organizations that would qualify for different deductions, right? So without going into all those details, in simple terms, say if your earned income, if your adjusted gross income is 100,000, you can, and if you gave 70,000 to charitable deduction to a 60% qualifying organization, you can only deduct 60,000. Now you can go all the way up to 100,000. So if you had your adjusted gross income is 100,000, and if you gave 100,000 to an organization, you can completely write off against that.
Okay. So the other question, did you answered it, but I just want a little bit of more clarity also. With the pandemic, almost last 1 year, everybody we are home though. But the thing is, I heard a statement that we cannot detect it as a home office. Is it true, or is there any way we can able to get some benefit out of it? Is there any loophole, tax loophole, or 2020 anything change?
Well, I mean, when it used to be that the home office unreimbursed employee expenses by the employer can be deducted as a miscellaneous itemized deduction before. And during Trump era, then he removed that, right? He didn't, so that was removed. So, but for businesses may be able to reimburse employees in a tax-free manner for using your home. So your internet connection, part of your house being used for business, employers can do that, and there is no specific change to the itemized deduction that for unreimbursed employee expenses. So so there are some changes that are being talked around, like for example, the meals and entertainment. Before it was only business meals. Entertainment got removed, but business meals only 50% were deductible. Now to help the restaurant industry, business meals would be allowed 100% deduction. So things like that. There are some changes that would come into play. So the unreimbursed employee expenses, it's still at this point in time is not allowed under the individual's tax return, but employers can reimburse tax free. Yeah.
So,
I have one quick question regarding mileage. Since we drove very small amount of mileage here, do you think we could use the actual quote of the vehicle and insurance and etc. to calculate? Because otherwise you're only getting 50 cents per mile, right?
Yeah. Miles for what purpose? Is it for your job or is it for your business? Okay. So if it's for your business, are you a corporation or what are you a sole prop? What is your type of business?
Yeah, it's a it's a my LLC, but I bought a new vehicle. My understanding is you could depreciate the entire vehicle's amount in 1 year, right?
It depends on the type of vehicle. Certain vehicles, if you're using a truck, for example, if it weighs more than 6,000 pounds, yeah, I mean you can take. Again, it has to be typically the business use has to be more than 50% in order for you to take the accelerated deduction for depreciation. So again, it depends on the type of vehicle and the extent of usage for business. So if you're using it, say 60% for personal and 40% for business, then you don't qualify. You can just you have to take a lower rate.
But if I because no personal, I don't drive that much mileage. Therefore, I drove most of the.
Tu sais qu'elle a fait là, cette gamine? Attends. Tu veux pas m'en aller? Non, mais attends. What is this?
I guess. Yeah. Yeah. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we could hear you.
Okay, so just a second. Sorry, folks. I'm trying to moderate here. Maybe if that question, maybe we can follow it up later. That'll be good. We are coming to the end of the time. So 3-4 questions I've seen. I'll try to quickly go over those. And then, sorry, sir. So we'll go to the other questions. Is a baby born in Feb 2021 with SSN eligible for round 3 stimulus payments, provided the stimulus payments started rolling over in March 2021? If yes, can we claim by declaring the child as dependent while filing tax returns for 2020? Should I repeat or is that an involved question? Hello? Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, the third round of stimulus is against the 2021 taxes. So the third round, so since the baby was born in 2021, that will qualify the taxpayer to get the credit in against 2021 taxes. So you would be able to, even if even if the person or taxpayer doesn't receive the stimulus for the baby, you should be able to get it when you file your 2021 tax return.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I hope that answers. And then the other question that I see from Sundar, I think it's been already asked, I guess. How about everyone using home as office? I think this has been answered, I guess. Yeah. Okay. I think, is there any other questions that we have to, that people have? Or we also will share the information, the contact information of Subra. And more questions, you can actually reach out to him, and then we will also help out as well.
Just one more question, Subra. Thank you again. You said people who you claimed as a dependent in last year, you could claim them as not dependent this year. Can you tell me what are the criteria to do that? Like, can you claim like a 18 years high schooler as a not dependent this year?
Yes, you can. Yes. So because you know that now there is no exemption for claiming a dependent, but only reason why you would name a person on your tax return as a dependent is to see whether there are any other aspects of the tax credits that you would qualify. So if you, again, it depends on your personal situation. If if you're if you don't claim the person as a dependent, knowing that the dependency doesn't give you any additional exemption like previously, under the previous law, if no other parts of your tax return is impacted, then it might be better for you for your whoever son or daughter to file her own tax return, and or if she, even if she doesn't have any income, then she may get the rebate, 1,400.
And are there any age limit for they had to be over 18 now?
No, there's typically, I mean, if somebody is you're like what you said, 18 years is, people work in a restaurant or, work in different places. So if she has any income, you can also show that on her personal return, or, she doesn't have to be, if she's on her own, then you don't necessarily have to claim her as a dependent.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Any other
Yeah, one quick question. So we want to know, like, do you help in filing the taxes? How do we show that in the tax return when we sell some property in India?
In India?
Yeah. So do we have to show here when we sell some property in India? Do we have to show it in the tax return, and how do we do that?
Yes, you need to report, if you're a resident in the US, and you're filing as a resident tax filer, you're basically taxed on a worldwide basis. So you have to include whatever activities that happened in India, including sale of property. You have to report that in US. And when you have that situation, if there are any tax credits you can claim for paying taxes in India, you can claim those here as well as a credit against your taxes. So it involves, but obviously, you have to be in compliance with the US tax laws, which says that you are taxed on a worldwide basis, which means that you have to report your sale of property in India in the US.
Do you help with that kind of stuff as well, right? I hope.
Yes, we do that all the time. Yes.
Okay. And filing in India taxes also, do you help, or do you have anybody in CPAs in India whom you work with?
Yeah, we work with a few firms in India, and also if you have anybody who is handling this in India, we can also work with them too.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, any other questions? Okay, so going once, going twice. going thrice, I think, sold. I think with this we will wrap up this Q&A section for now, and more people, more questions can be there. We can just channel in through through your means directly contact. So now we'll wrap up this section. We'll go to the vote of thanks, and I wanted to invite our administrative vice president, Mrs. Saravana Sundara, to do the vote of thanks.
நன்றி ஒளி. வணக்கம், அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். கேக்குதுங்களா?
கேக்குதுங்க.
இன்னைக்கு நிறைய பயனுள்ள தகவல்களை பார்த்தோம். நிறைய நுணுக்கங்கள் இருக்கின்றன என்பதும், அவைகளை சரியாக புரிந்து டாக்ஸ் ஃபைல் செய்தால் நிறைய சலுகைகள் கிடைக்கும் என்பதும் தெளிவாக தெரிகிறது. ஒரு சில டிட்பிட்ஸ் என்ன கற்றுக்கிட்டோம்னு பார்த்தா, 2020 2019 இந்த வருமானத்துல, இந்த வருடங்கள்ல இருக்கிற வருமானத்துல எந்த வருடம் அதிக வருமானம்னு பார்க்கறது, to maximize the benefit, when to file tax, அதுல இருந்து ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுது. So there are so many nuances. அப்புறம் அந்த 150,000 threshold as a cliff point for availing silver health care premium. அப்புறம் ஈவன் ஒரு வாரம் வேலை இல்லாம இருந்தா கூட அது வாட் டிஃபரன்ஸ் இட் மேக்ஸ் அப்படிங்கிறது இன்னொன்னு. அப்புறம் இப்போ லாஸ்டா சொன்னாங்க இல்லையா, ஹேண்ட்லிங் மணி கம்மிங் ஃப்ரம் இந்தியா, அதெல்லாம். ஸோ ஒரு ரியலா ரொம்ப பிரெத்து, ரொம்ப வைட் பிரெத்தை கவர் பண்ணாரு, நிறைய டீட்டெயில்ஸ். இப்போ அதனால நாங்கள் ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கிறது மிக உதவியா இருக்கும். நான் ஆல்ரெடி யூடியூப் சேனல்ல ஒருத்தனுக்கு கேட்டதை பார்த்தேன், ரெக்கார்டிங் இருந்தால் ரொம்ப உதவியா இருக்குன்னு. அதனால மேலும் பல கேள்விகளுக்கு விடை கிடைத்தன. மிக்க நன்றி திரு சுப்ரா ரமணன் அவர்களே. மன்ற தலைவர் முதல்ல குணாபத்திரம் சொன்னது போல, சுப்ரா பல வருடங்களாக தமிழ் மன்றத்துக்கு டாக்ஸ் ஃபைல் செய்ய உதவி பண்ணிட்டு வர்றாரு. இந்த தமிழ் மன்றம் மட்டும் இல்லை, தமிழ் மன்றத்துடைய இணைப்பு தமிழ் கல்ச்சுரல் சென்டர்ஸ் 2 என்டிட்டி இதில். இன்னைக்கு மன்ற உறுப்பினர்களுக்கும் மற்ற நண்பர்களுக்கும் சரியான தருணத்தில் டாக்ஸ் பற்றி விளக்கியிருக்கார். இது இதில் சிம்பிளா சொல்லப்போன இன்ஃபர்மேஷன், வேல்யூபிள் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் ஓவர்லோட் அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம். அதனால மிக்க நன்றிங்க. பார்த்த அனைவருக்கும் நன்றியும். வேற ஏதாவது கேள்வி இருந்தா எங்க பக்கம் அனுப்புங்க, இல்லாட்டி சுப்ராவோடைய கான்டாக்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் ஒளி PowerPoint ஸ்லைட்ல காமிச்சார். எங்ககிட்ட யார்கிட்ட கான்டாக்ட் பண்ணிங்கனாலும் நாங்க சுப்ராவை கனெக்ட் பண்றோம். மிக்க நன்றி. நன்றிங்க சுப்ரா.
நன்றி. Thank you very much. நன்றி everybody. So okay, thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
ஒரு வழி சொல்லிடுறேன். அவர் டாக்ஸ் என்ன ஃபைல் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காரு, அதுல நிறைய நேரத்தை ஒதுக்கி இது அமையறதுக்கு ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருந்துச்சு. ஸோ அதுக்கு உங்களுக்கு தமிழ் மன்றம் சார்பில் என்னோட நன்றிகள் எல்லாம்
முக்கியமான ஒண்ணு செய்திங்க. ஏதாவது சுப்ரா தமிழ் மன்ற உறுப்பினர்களுக்குன்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஸ்பெஷல் ஒரு டிஸ்கவுண்ட் கொடுப்பாரு. நீங்க அவரு அணுகி அவங்களுடைய வரி பதிவு பண்றது பண்ணிருக்காங்க. இப்ப எக்ஸ்டெண்ட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க May 17. அதனால அது பலன் அடையலாம். நன்றி சுப்ரா.
Okay, thank you very much.
சாரி, அது ரொம்ப முக்கியமான பாயிண்ட் ஆச்சு. அதை பத்தி ஏதாவது ஒன்று சொல்ல விரும்புறீங்களா? தமிழ் மன்ற உறுப்பினர்களுக்கு டிஸ்கவுண்ட் கொடுக்கணுங்கிறது அது நியூ இன்ஃபர்மேஷன்.
அது I'm okay with குணா சொன்னார், அது செய்யலாம். சொல்லிட்டாருங்க, அப்ப சொல்ல அது அதுல ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை.
எப்பவுமே சுப்ராவுக்கு ஒரு தனி இது இருக்கு. ஓகே, இதயத்துல ஒரு இடம் உண்டு. அதனால எந்த வரி ஆலோசனைக்கும் வரி இது ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்றதுக்கு, டாக்ஸ் ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்றதுக்கு நீங்க அணுகலாம். சரி,
அனைவருக்கும் நன்றிங்க. இதோட நம்ம இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை முடிவு கொண்டு வரோம். உங்களுடைய ஞாயிற்றுக்கிழமை நேரத்துல, பொன்னான நேரத்துல நீங்க ஒதுக்குனதுக்கு மிக்க நன்றிகள்.
நன்றி.